The Lincoln Project salutes Vice President Donald Trump. As Vice President, Trump will finally have the time to do the things that make him happiest. Talk about old movies, playing on his phone, admiring the assets of other men. Meanwhile, President Musk can get down to the business of running the country. We at the Lincoln Project are confident that Donald Trump understands his position.
Donald Trump just got publicly torched by the Lincoln Project. And not just with facts, but with brutal, hilarious parody ads that hit harder than a Truth Social meltdown. We're talking about satire so savage, it should come with a trigger warning and a defibrillator. But what exactly did they say that sent him into full nuclear-grade meltdown mode? You won't believe how savage these ads get, or how Trump's ego took a direct hit like it rear-ended reality at full speed. Stick around, because this political roast doesn't simmer, it incinerates.
God made a dictator. God said, I need a corrupt man who is above the law and immune from justice. So God made a dictator. God said, I need a man who will use violence to seize power. So God made a dictator. God said, I need a man whose followers will call black white, call evil good, and call criminals hostages. So God made a dictator. God said, I need his political party to obey without question, and the press fear his wrath. So God made a dictator. God said, I need a cruel man who uses his power and position to punish and harm his opposition.
Donald Trump, who once declared himself a very stable genius while staring directly into a solar eclipse, has done it again. No, he hasn't discovered a new planet shaped like his ego, although we're probably just a few press conferences away from that. And yes, it will have gold toilets and be banned from NATO. This time, he's gone full meltdown mode because the Lincoln Project, the group of Republican renegades with more editing skills than a Marvel studio intern and the petty energy of a group chat with no adult supervision, decided to do what they do best: humiliate him with parody ads so blistering they should be illegal in 12 states.
We feel certain Trump will play his part because he's a good boy. Who's a good boy? Trump's a good boy.
Man who breaks the faith of even his most godly followers and leads them to idolatry, place him above me. So God made a dictator. And then God said, I sent this man to test you, and until you cast him down, you have failed. So God made a dictator.
The ads? Oh, they didn't just mock his policies, they went for the jugular. Picture dramatic voiceovers, ominous music, grainy footage of Trump waddling down a golf course like he's reenacting Braveheart, but with cheeseburgers instead of swords, and narration that sounds like the trailer for a dystopian Netflix docuseries called The Last Narcissist. It's psychological warfare wrapped in snark, dipped in sarcasm, and microwaved for maximum sizzle. These aren't your average campaign attack ads. These are meme-level, ego-shattering masterclasses in provocation.
Ask yourself, are you better off than you were 100 days ago? Trump came back, not to lead, but to punish. He purged loyal Americans from government, fired heroic generals, demanded loyalty over competence, turned the Justice Department into his revenge machine. Let this guy steal your private data and wreck Social Security. Our allies betrayed. Ukraine sold out to Putin, turning our government into a police state, kidnapping American citizens, sending innocent people to foreign hellholes.
And Trump? He fell for it like it was a golden escalator. One ad drops, and suddenly his entire social media feed turns into an all-caps opera. Fake, disgusting, libel, he screams, while the Lincoln Project sips martinis and schedules their next upload. His reactions are so predictable, they could be programmed into a weather app. Chance of storms in Mar-a-Lago, winds of rage are expected to gust past 90 tweets per hour.
Trump's got it wrong. So does Elon Musk. We're not quitting. Americans from every walk of life, Democrats, Republicans, independents, they all know it's wrong to cut veterans' health care, wrong to cut FAA air traffic controllers, wrong to fire FBI agents for doing their jobs, wrong to cut deals with corrupt politicians, wrong to pardon terrorists, wrong to get in bed with Putin, wrong for an American president to call himself a king.
In his rage, he boosts their content. Every angry repost, every Truth Social tantrum, every quote tweet that accidentally spreads their message to millions, it's all free marketing for the very people roasting him alive. It's like being heckled at your own roast and paying the DJ to crank the volume. Trump's ego is so allergic to ridicule, he can't help but scream back, even if it means amplifying the insult. And the Lincoln Project? They're just sitting back, feeding him bait like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet of emotional triggers. Imagine this. You're sitting in your golden penthouse, surrounded by framed magazine covers of yourself from the 80s, sipping Diet Coke with two hands like it's a medieval goblet, and then bam, a parody ad drops. Suddenly, the TV isn't just broadcasting news, it's a full-blown comedy roast starring you, looking like the lost character from a political version of The Office. But instead of awkward glances to the camera, it's full-on mockery with a soundtrack that practically screams, "This man once confused a hurricane path with a Sharpie marker." Trump's reaction? Think of a volcano, but if it wore golf shoes and shouted, "Witch hunt," every 5 minutes. Sources say he was so furious he tried to have the Lincoln Project arrested, because of course that's the natural response to satire. Arrest the comedians.
Donald Trump is a naturally destructive creature. He always has been. He destroyed the business his father gave him. He's destroyed several of his marriages. He's bankrupted 2 casinos. He's great at destruction. Donald destroying the ability of air traffic controllers and weather forecasters and wildland firefighters to do their jobs. Phenomenal. A+, bro. But the rest of it isn't working. He promised with this insane trade war from the beginning, "We'll be so rich you won't know what to do with all the money you're making." And what has it delivered so far? Nothing but destruction here at home.
Someone calls up Netflix and cancels all stand-up specials before he subpoenas Dave Chappelle. The ads in question? Oh, they're works of art. If art involved deep-frying ego in sarcasm oil and serving it on a silver platter of political irony. One ad featured Trump bumbling through interviews, gaffes, and tantrums, set to music so dramatic it made it look like a trailer for The Fall of the American Empire, Trump Edition. Another one mocked his legal troubles with the subtlety of a sledgehammer, reminding viewers that he's juggling more court dates than a Law and Order spin-off marathon. And the best part? The Lincoln Project didn't need new footage. They just recycled clips from Trump's greatest hits, press conference bloopers, legal disasters, and moments of pure, unfiltered nonsense. All real, all spectacularly bad. It's like if you took America's Funniest Home Videos, removed the fun, added indictments, and left in the hairline crisis. Naturally, Trump didn't take it well. Reports say he called staffers in the middle of the night, fuming like a kettle on a gas stove with a broken lid. Allegedly, he even demanded to know who gave them permission to use his likeness, which is adorable considering the man spent years plastering his name on every building, stake, and expired bottle of cologne within reach. Spoiler alert, you can't trademark a meltdown, Don.
Donald Trump said he had a plan. What happened? Stock market crashed, trillions of dollars lost, retirement accounts gutted. Chaos. So Donald Trump backed down. Inside traders on Wall Street made a fortune. But about the rest of us? Our retirement accounts are worth less than when Trump took office. Thousands of jobs down the drain. Small businesses devastated. There's no plan, no grand strategy. Just bad ideas that make the rich richer and hurt the rest of us.
He also apparently tried to fire off a furious response on Truth Social, his echo chamber, where every post feels like a rejected Mad Libs entry. But even there, his ranting couldn't drown out the sound of thousands of Americans giggling as another Lincoln Project video dropped like political confetti. What's truly impressive is how the Lincoln Project manages to live rent-free in Trump's head. And not just rent-free, they've installed hardwood floors, a home theater, and a portrait of Liz Cheney above the fireplace. The man is so obsessed with their content, it's starting to feel like he's secretly their biggest fan. You know, the kind who rage comments under every post and then pretends he didn't watch it 3 times in a row while eating Big Macs in his bathrobe. Now, let's not pretend these parody ads are harmless. No, they're weapons of satire. And satire, to a man like Trump, is kryptonite. He can handle political attacks, he can survive criminal indictments, moral catastrophes, even hurricane mismanagement. But mockery? Oh no, that's the unforgivable sin. How dare anyone suggest that his presidency was less House of Cards and more Wipeout government edition? One ad even aimed at Trump's latest campaign rally, where the crowd looked like they were there for the free merch and stayed for the opportunity to say they survived another ramble with Grandpa. The Lincoln Project set it to circus music, and suddenly every hand gesture, every mispronounced word, every rant about wind turbines and sharks felt like it belonged in a clown car of doom. Of course, Trump's inner circle tried to spin the situation. They said the ads were desperate, mean, and unfair.
First 100 days of this administration has been, in every conceivable measure, a parade of corruption, of chaos, a nightmare for this country. It has demonstrated time and time again that Donald Trump is mentally unstable, that he's morally unfit, that the country, at least a large number of people in this country, voted for someone who has set us on a path of destruction. And I mean that in every possible way. He is absolutely committed to the things we warned you about. I know you get bored hearing, oh, Donald Trump is terrible and he will destroy us all and the world will burn. I know a lot of you get tired hearing that.
Which, in Trump world, means effective. Oh, the Lincoln Project. The political ex-girlfriend Trump just can't stop rage texting at 3 a.m. These guys aren't just out here making parody ads. They're running a full-blown psychological warfare campaign with the precision of a Navy SEAL and the pettiness of a Real Housewife. You think they're just trolling Trump? Please, this is performance art disguised as a super PAC. Let's be real. Trolling Trump is just the glitter on top of a very calculated operation. The Lincoln Project isn't just throwing darts at Trump's ego for fun. They've got a bigger plan, one that's been marinating since 2020. Their whole shtick is using the weapon Trump forged, media spectacle, and turning it against him. They don't just want to irritate him, they want to keep him constantly off balance, red-faced, and screaming into the void of Truth Social like a guy yelling at pigeons in a park. And this isn't their first rodeo either. Remember the Morning in America ad? The one that painted Trump's presidency like the trailer for a post-apocalyptic Netflix series? That dropped in 2020 and sent Trump into such a frothy meltdown, he rage-tweeted at them for days. Days! They were living in his head, rent-free. No deposit, no utilities, just vibes and viral content. Then there was the time they parked a massive mobile billboard outside Mar-a-Lago during a donor event, displaying the names of every GOP senator who voted to acquit him during impeachment.
Big thing that's hovering out there now over this very consequential first 100 days of Trump is that America is pissed. They are really unhappy. I'm going to go through some polling numbers with you today and talk a little bit about why this is such a big deal. Look, Trump has always had a boundary that he could never go really far below. It was in the low 40s. He would spring up up into the high 40s, low 50s at top and on his best days. And at the bottom end, it was about 40%. That was the ditch. That was the bottom. That was the bad place.
That wasn't just a political statement. That was scorched earth petty. That was ex's new boyfriend just got a Lamborghini levels of vindictiveness. But here's the genius. Their trolling is their political strategy. Every time Trump takes the bait, and let's face it, the man couldn't resist the bait if it was deep fried and wrapped in a Big Mac, he amplifies them. He reposts their videos. He gets them trending. He unleashes his base on them, which ironically boosts their donations and visibility. It's like handing your enemies free advertising space on your forehead. They're not just here to mock Trump. They want to peel off disillusioned conservatives, disrupt the MAGA monolith, and turn every Trump tantrum into a Democratic campaign ad. Think of them as the chaotic good wizards in a political Dungeons and Dragons game, wielding sarcasm like a fireball spell aimed directly at Mar-a-Lago. So no, this isn't just about laughs, it's about strategy. They figured out that in Trump's world, the biggest insult isn't being wrong, it's being mocked. And the Lincoln Project? They've got a PhD in mockery and a masterclass in manipulation. And they're using both like scalpels on Trump's paper-thin ego. Because Trump falling for provocation is as inevitable as him misspelling coffee at 3 a.m. It's not a bug, it's a feature. The man is constitutionally incapable of letting anything slide.
You paid your taxes every year. You worked to pay for your Social Security every year. You played by the rules. Now Republicans are changing the rules. Social Security is in chaos. Offices closed, support staff slashed, helplines turned off.
Starting today, some people could have their entire monthly Social Security check withheld.
But don't worry, you have a retirement fund. You've been careful to save money. How's that going?
Millions of Americans are losing money from their retirement plans as the stock market continues its downward trend.
They don't care. The ones who aren't billionaires have gold-plated pensions, the best government-paid health care.
The Lincoln Project could post a meme of a ham sandwich, and Trump would still fire back, demanding to know if it was referencing him, followed by a 12-post tantrum and 3 all-caps declarations of greatness. It's not just ego. It's a full-blown allergic reaction to mockery. His brain seems to interpret satire the same way a fire alarm interprets smoke. Panic, rage, and press the big red button marked meltdown. The truth is, Trump isn't wired for silence. He feeds off conflict like a drama-hungry teenager at a high school lunch table. Every Lincoln Project ad is an irresistible, steaming pile of bait. And Trump? He bites with the enthusiasm of a man who thinks restraint is a French dessert. He sees these ads not as political jabs, but as personal insults, and he has to respond, even if that response is equivalent to pouring gasoline on a dumpster fire just to prove he's flame retardant. But are these ads helping political discourse? Well, if by discourse you mean an endless battle of memes and meltdowns, then yes, they're contributing. But if you're looking for thoughtful policy discussion and nuanced debate, buddy, you took a wrong turn about 6 news cycles ago. The Lincoln Project isn't trying to foster civic dialogue.
This did in 100 days more damage to this country, at home and abroad, than any other president in our history. There has literally never been a period of time in which greater corruption defined a presidency. We'll start there. Donald Trump is hawking Bitcoin. His son Uday, Don Jr., has set up a thing called the Executive Branch. It's a new service that Don Jr. provides to wealthy Americans and wealthy foreigners and lobbyists where they can pay him $500,000 to get special access to Donald Trump.
They're trying to create viral moments that burn across social media like a brush fire in dry season. And honestly, that might be exactly what this moment demands. You don't bring a white paper to a meme war. Still, it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, they're keeping Trump's volatility front and center, reminding voters, especially the politically weary, of the chaos he drags around like a personal weather system. On the other hand, they risk turning politics into pure spectacle, where the goal isn't governing, but going viral. It's infotainment with a vengeance, and the line between exposing authoritarian tendencies and just dunking for likes gets blurrier with each ad. Now, will this shift the 2024/2025 dynamics? That's where things get spicy. These ads won't flip hardcore MAGA loyalists. They'd vote for Trump if he showed up to a debate in clown shoes and a tinfoil crown. But what they can do is keep the exhausted middle awake. You know the ones. Disillusioned centrists, moderate conservatives, folks who once voted for Trump but now flinch every time he speaks. The Lincoln Project's chaos-stirring circus acts as a siren screaming, "Remember how bonkers this got?" And in a race that may come down to razor-thin margins in a few key states, a few thousand votes could tilt the whole board.
His chief trade advisor was in prison last year. Mortgage rates are up. The price of eggs skyrocketing. Retirement funds down. Republicans control Washington. It's not working.
It's funny, Donald. This time it only took 2 months before your own team started stabbing you in the back and tearing each other apart. The knives are out. Elon attacking Peter Navarro and calling him dumber than a box of rocks. Navarro blasting back. Howard Lutnick under fire from your own West Wing.
So yes, the trolling might be theatrical, but in an era where theater is politics, the Lincoln Project script might be the most effective one. Because when your whole brand is built on insult comedy, conspiracy theories, and mispronouncing anonymous, getting torched by professional ad makers who understand irony hits differently. And let's not forget the legal mess. And every time he opens his mouth in a courtroom, it's like watching a toddler negotiate with a judge over bedtime. So when the Lincoln Project includes actual courtroom sketches in their parody, yes, real ones, it's less parody and more documentary with sass. Even the MAGA diehards are starting to sweat. Not because they've had a change of heart, but because they know these parody ads have gone viral.